Okay, so we are going into the second set of texts, and this is the last one. And remember, we stopped at July 7th. So I just want to point out, the continuous grooming throughout these texts. She pretty much was groomed very quickly. And the scary part is, again, it didn't take that much time. And she was hook, line, and sinker. So to me, it was so bold of both of them, really, to be doing this inside that house with the grandmother there and Aunt Shannon there. I mean, bold as hell. The fact that he would park up the street and he would get out the car, walk to the house, go into the back to the basement, and they would carry on down there. Like, it was no fear. It was no fear at all. If I was a young girl her age, I would have been scared that my grandmother or my aunt was going to freaking kill me. I would have. I wonder if she ever left the house and went with him late at night. I wonder. That's something I wonder. And in these second set of texts, it was not there. It was not there at all. And JB wasn't afraid to get caught, and I wonder why. We know that Shannon had issues with other women that was after her man. Remember the fights that they would have at the shop when these women would bump into one another, all dating Jarvis right there at the shop. And I mean, the fact that Na'Ziyah knew all this. She did. She knew that Shannon would be ready to throw down, probably with any woman that was going after her man. I'm sure. And she just didn't seem like she was scared at all. Not at all. Wow. And I do think in my heart that JB told Na'Ziyah when she was 18 that he was going to marry her, they was going to live together, they was going to be together. I know he did. He was stringing her along. I'm pretty sure that he was. Even asking him, did he like slim girls? She probably was wondering why he wanted her, since she was so different looking from Shannon. But she didn't know that he liked her because she was young. She was illegal. And he was not supposed to be with her. And he was a whole ped. But Zanaya did not know that. So let's continue. I'm looking for the texts of the pregnancy and any hints that Shannon may have known about them. I was looking for that. So, okay, so let's start this last set of text messages. Wow, it's nuts. It's really nuts, and it gets pretty sad towards the end, but here we go.
To July 7th.
July 7th, 2023 at 14:34 hours, and Na'Ziyah sends a message that says, "So what you on today?" The next message at 14:35, she sends, "You trying to fuck or what?" At 14:37, Jarvis replies back, "Yes." 14:38, Na'Ziyah sends, "I'm sorry." 14:38 again, she sends, "But I hope to see you today." At 14:39, she sends, "I didn't know if you were up last night, so I stopped calling and texting." And those messages were deleted.
And now moving to July 10th.
July 10th, 2023 at 16:41 hours. Na'Ziyah sends to Jarvis, "You trying to get up in this today?" At 16:45, he replies, "All the time." At 18:54, she sends, "You eat lunch yet?" Then immediately after, she sends some question marks. Now at 19:54, Na'Ziyah sends, "Yo, job so empty." 19:55, she sends, "I was just there." At 19:59, Jarvis replies the letters I and K, or I know. At 19:59, he sends, how you know. At 20:14, Jarvis sends, what's up? 20:39, Na'Ziyah replies, I didn't want you to see me. 20:39 hours, so I left. At 20:40, Jarvis sends a message to Na'Ziyah saying, who was with you? At 20:40, she replies, nobody. 20:40, again, 37 seconds, she says, you working late today? At 20:40 hours, 38 seconds, Jarvis sends to her, so how did you get to my job? At 20:40, 48 seconds, he then sends, no. 20:40 and 58 seconds, Na'Ziyah replies, I walked up there. At 20:41, Jarvis replies back to her, so walk now. At 20:41, Na'Ziyah replies, I can't, Nana's back. At 20:42, she sends, can you pull up today since you're not working late? 20:42, she sends a couple question marks. Then he replies at 20:42 and 29 seconds with the word yup, and those messages were deleted.
And moving on to July 11th.
July 11, 2023 at 18:43 hours, Na'Ziyah sends to Jarvis, I want to fuck. At 1900 hours, he replies, when? At 2012 hours, she sends the three letters NVM, or never mind. At 2038, she sends, I took a shower. At 21:32, she sends, I be trying so hard not to think about you, but the dick too good not to think about you, and I miss you rubbing on my thigh. The date is now July 12th, and this is at 00:35 hours. She sends, we might go over sham crib. At 02:55 hours, she sends, I'm fitting to hop in the shower. Call as soon as you get done doing whatever. I want you to tell me how you going to give me my dick for my B-day. Tell me nice and slow and sexy so I can play NVM, you know.
And were those deleted?
Yes.
Okay. And later on July 12th.
July 12th at 14:38 hours, Na'Ziyah sends, good morning. Then at 16:47 hours, she sends, did I have panties on? At 16:47, Jarvis replies, no. At 16:50, Na'Ziyah sends him some question marks. And then at 1700, she has a missed call from Jarvis's number. It says missed call. She still has him saved in here as Bay for life. At 19:18 hours, she sends, how did you know? At 23:09 hours, she sends, you busy? At 23:11 hours, there is an incoming missed call again from Jarvis's number, missed call from Bay for life. It's now July 13th, 01:44 hours. Na'Ziyah has sent him a picture. Immediately after that, she sends a text that says shower pic, and then there's some emojis. At 01:49, she says, damn, no response. At 01:49, 21 seconds, she sends some type of emojis again, and all those messages were deleted.
And now moving to July 22nd.
Before we move on, Sergeant Jones, do you need a moment, a break? Are you okay?
I gotta go a little bit longer.
Okay, carry on.
Unless the court needs a break.
No,
Okay.
I'm making sure that she doesn't need a break.
July 22nd, 2023 at 14:56 hours, Na'Ziyah sends, "Bae, I wanna fuck." Then at 14:57 he replies, "Work." Immediately after that he replies, "I do too." 14:57 Na'Ziyah replies, "No you don't." 14:57 Jarvis replies, "I do." Immediately after that, Jarvis sends WYA. Or where are you at? 14:57, Na'Ziyah sends, "I'm at the crib." 14:57 hours and 57 seconds, Jarvis replies, "Come on." At 14:58, Na'Ziyah replies, "Shan and Nana went to Family Dollar." The next message says, "I can't, I wish I could." At 14:58, Jarvis replies, "How long are they going to be?" At 14:58, Na'Ziyah sends to him, "IDK," or "I don't know." The next message is, "I'm so horny." Then at 14:59, she sends, "I want a hug from you." At 15:01, Jarvis sends her a message that says, "I'm on my way," with the exclamation point. "I just got off the phone with Shan. They are at the barber shop."
And were those messages?
messages were deleted, yes.
And moving to July 24th.
July 24, 2023 at 03:24 hours, Na'Ziyah sends Jarvis a message that says, "Don't park in front." Immediately Jarvis replies, "Why?" Then at 03:25, Jarvis sends, "You act like you're gonna come outside." At 03:25, Na'Ziyah sends, "I can't, I have guests." 03:25, she sends, "And people do watch and look at the house all night." At 03:26, she sends, "Just park down the street, please. Thank you." 03:26 hours, Jarvis replies to her, "Who?" Na'Ziyah then replies back, "People on the block." At 03:26, Jarvis replies, "Who is the guest?" At 03:26, Na'Ziyah says, "My girlfriend, Vari's girlfriend." 03:27, Na'Ziyah sends, "I took his bitch." Then at 03:27, Jarvis replies to her, "She is our bitch." At 03:27, Na'Ziyah sends to Jarvis, "She 14, about to be 15." At 03:28, she sends, "Are you close?" At 03:28, Jarvis replies, "Is she our bitch or no?" at 03:28, Na'Ziyah replies, "Yes." Jarvis then replies to her and says, "You fake." 03:28, Na'Ziyah says, "How? She is our bitch." At 03:29, she sends, "Bae, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to make you."
The saddest part is, I bet she made him mad a lot. A lot. I'm sure she did. And now he seems to be interested in a little boy's girlfriend. Isn't that something? It just doesn't stop with this man. It just really doesn't.
At 03:30, Jarvis replies to her, "She don't know about us, right?" 03:31, Jarvis then says, "And is she trustworthy?" At 03:31, Na'Ziyah replies, "Yes, she don't know about us." At 03:56, she sends, "It's off." 03:57, Jarvis replies, wrong light. And at 03:57, she says the letter K.
Were those messages deleted?
Yes.
Okay. And later in the day on July 24th.
July 24th at 12:22, Na'Ziyah sends to Jarvis, fuck me then. At 12:22, he replies, huh? And at 12:23, he replies, I'm trying to. At 12:23, Na'Ziyah sends to him, you said fuck me. At 12:23, she sends, so do so. 12:23, Jarvis replies, when? 12:23, Na'Ziyah replies, trying to make time, going through my schedule, RN, for right now. 12:24, Na'Ziyah sends, what time are you going to work? At 12:40, Jarvis replies, now. And now jumps to 21 hours, Na'Ziyah sends WYD for what you're doing. Then at 21:23, she sends, you free? With some question marks. We now jump to July 25th. At 17:33 hours, Na'Ziyah sends, I want to fuck today. At 17:33 hours, Jarvis replies back, come on. And then immediately after, he replies, I'm by myself. At 17:33, she sends back to him, I can't RN for right now. At 17:34, Na'Ziyah sends, after work, can you call for me, please? And those messages were all deleted as well.
And I have to add this in before. It's literally weeks of text messages. She could say, good morning, bae, and there's absolutely no response. But as soon as she says, I want to fuck, he hurries up and responds. It's just like that. That's the only way she's going to get attention from him is if she acts like, you know, a female pimp. You know what I'm saying? That's the only way. And she knew that. She'd been around him long enough to know that.
I'm jumping to August 4th.
August 4th, 2023, at 22:07 hours, Na'Ziyah sends to Jarvis, Chan and Nana left. DON, and then there's some type of emoji. Know what time they coming back. At 22:08, Jarvis replies, okay, what you saying? Na'Ziyah then replies back, what you think I'm trying to say. But there's some emojis in there again. At 22:09, Jarvis replies back with some type of emoji. Na'Ziyah then replies back, IDK, is it? I don't know, is it? At 22:09, Na'Ziyah sends, what you thinking? At 22:10, Jarvis replies to Na'Ziyah, are we fucking? At 22:10, Na'Ziyah sends, shit, are we? SHI. At 22:12, Na'Ziyah sends a bunch of question marks. Now it's August 5th. Na'Ziyah sends, wow, you stood me up. August 5th at 00:47, she sends, I was waiting. And then at 00:47, she sends, I a bum. The next message after that is a correction that says, you a bum.
And were those deleted?
Yes.
And now jumping to August 26th.
Okay, I need a break.
Okay. This is a good time for a 15-minute break. Continue with your questioning.
Thank you. Sergeant Jarvis, I believe we were leaving off at August 26th.
Yeah. So text messages from August 26, 2023, starting at 09:09 hours. Na'Ziyah sends to Jarvis, I'm in so much pain right now. At 0909, 40 seconds, she says, my stomach hurts really bad. At 0937 hours, Jarvis attempts to call Na'Ziyah. It shows here missed call from Bay for Life. At 1426 hours, Na'Ziyah texts Jarvis and says, I did have my period. It came when I was in the hospital. At 1420 hours, this is now jumped to August 27th. 1420 hours, Na'Ziyah sends GM for good morning. August 28th at 0006 hours, Na'Ziyah sends to Jarvis, my stomach hurt real bad. 0055 hours, she sends, why you can't answer?
Did not know why she was in the hospital. This is the first time I'm hearing that she was in the hospital. And she sees that he ignores her. She sees that now, and she knows that unless she says something provocative, he's really not going to respond.
0056 hours, she sends, never mind this, you anyway. At 0131 hours, Jarvis replies to her, yes, baby. At 0132, Na'Ziyah replies, my stomach hurt really bad. At 0132 hours, Jarvis replies to her, I didn't nut inside of you. At 0133, Na'Ziyah replies, I'm not even talking about that. I'm saying it hurts really bad. At 0134, she says, are you busy? 0149, Na'Ziyah says, I want to talk to you about some, let me know when you are free. And these were all deleted.
Okay. And August 28th, later in the day.
August 28th at 13:31 hours, Na'Ziyah sends a message to Jarvis that says, I want to try something. At 13:32, he replies back, what? Spelled W-A-T. At 13:32 hours, she says, a threesome.
Yeah, this was really unbelievable to me. It really was. This is the first time I'm hearing this. It's like she had to do something quickly, right? The way he just was egging her, she had to do something. This is crazy for her to even suggest that, and very sad.
At 13:44 hours, Na'Ziyah sends, you down for it? Then she sends a question mark. At 13:44, Jarvis replies back, with who? 13:44, she replies, IDK, or I don't know yet, do you got someone? At 13:45, she sends, I'm still looking.
Honestly, he wanted Vary's little girlfriend, and I wouldn't even be surprised if he kind of put that in her head. I wouldn't be. He probably discussed some sick shit like that. You know, that's our bitch. He probably actually did.
And were those deleted?
Yes.
Okay. And just a couple hours later on August 28th.
August 28th at 18:58 hours, Na'Ziyah sends, I feel you don't want to be bothered with me. 2200 hours, she sends, WYD for what you're doing. 2200 hours, she replies back, thinking about you. 2201, she sends, oh, so are you down with the threesome? 2221, he replies, yes, with who though? 2246, she sends, IK, still looking. Then immediately after that, she replies, IDK for I don't know. It is now August 29th at 03:47. She sends, Bet, that's what's up. He replies, huh? Na'Ziyah then replies, none, you'll figure it out. At 03:49 hours, he sends what? She then replies back to him, never mind, NBM, are you busy? She then replies at 0350, again, exactly, so I'll take that as a yes.
No, JB's neck is hurting. It's crazy. He won't even lift his damn head up. He cannot believe that these messages have come back to bite him in his ass. He deleted them and hid them from Shannon, but he can't hide them from the law. You can't. 7 years, messages will stick.
And were those deleted?
Yeah.
And now we're moving forward to, sorry.
That's okay, go ahead.
We're moving forward to September 26th.
September 26th, starting at 14:31 hours, Na'Ziyah sends, Bae, you up? With some question marks. Then she sends another set of question marks. 14:32, he replies, yeah. 14:33, Na'Ziyah sends, my period haven't came at all. 14:36, she sends, hello, you there? With some question marks. 14:37, Jarvis replies to Na'Ziyah, what you mean? At 14:38, Na'Ziyah says, it have not came. 14:38, Jarvis replies to her, since when? Na'Ziyah then sends at 14:38, 42 seconds, since I was in the hospital. The next message is, that was last month. I'm scared, I don't know IDK, what to do, I have to go to the doctor's TM for tomorrow.
Okay, so it's looking like the time of conception should have been late July or sometime in August, right? So she would have definitely been 5 months pregnant by the time January came. But being she's so tiny, it would have probably appeared like she was further along.
At 14:41, Jarvis replies to Na'Ziyah and says, you said that you took a pregnancy test and it was negative. 14:41, she replies, it did. At 14:41, Jarvis then replies, so go get another one. At 14:42, Na'Ziyah tells him on a text, I can't, I have no money. After that, she says, you go get one. 14:43, she says, you ain't scared to get a plan B, get a pregnancy test and bring it later today. Just act like you have to use the bathroom. At 14:36, she says, PLS for please. She then replies, will you do it? With some question marks. At 14:51, she says, hello, with a bunch of question marks. Then at 14:56, Jarvis replies to her with, okay.
Okay, and now the messages from 9:26 at 14:31 and 41 seconds, all the way to 14:39 and 42 seconds, were those deleted?
Well, so they're deleted from the 14:31, 41 seconds, all the way down to 14:39 and 13 seconds. Those are not deleted.
Okay.
Then there's two that are deleted, which are the two messages that talked about, I'm scared, I don't know what I have to do. I have to go to the doctor's tomorrow. And then the other one that she deleted was when it says, you said that you took a pregnancy test and it was negative.
Okay.
There's one that she did not delete that was, it did. Then the rest of them after that, where it talks about get another test, come upstairs, and put it in the bathroom, those messages were deleted.
Okay. And moving to September 27th.
September 27th, starting at 21:26 hours, Na'Ziyah sends, but are we still on for Friday? At 21:31, Jarvis replies, what you mean? 21:38, she says, are we still on for Friday? At 21:49, Jarvis replies, yes. 21:49, Na'Ziyah says the letter K. At 21:49, Jarvis then sends a text to her asking, what we doing though? At 21:49, she sends back, fucking. At 21:50, Jarvis replies, seriously? 21:50, Na'Ziyah replies, yeah, what else we gonna do? 21:50, Jarvis replies back to her, where? Na'Ziyah then replies back immediately and says, IDK, or I don't know, you pick somewhere. Then at 21:51, Jarvis sends to her, I always do. 21:51, Na'Ziyah sends, I know. At 21:52, she says, I really just want to cuddle, but if you want to fuck, we can. 21:52, 20 seconds, she sends, so do you, with some question marks. 21:52 and 35 seconds, Jarvis sends to her, do I weigh? Then right after that is a word that was corrected, like what. So it should have said, do I what? Then Na'Ziyah sends at 21:52, wanna fuck. At 21:53, she sends, I just wanna cuddle, but it ain't always what I wanna do. At 21:53, she says, so yes or no? At 21:54, Jarvis replies, only if you want to. 21:54, she says, okay, so we fucking then. 21:55, Jarvis replies, so stop talking about you want to cuddle then. 21:55, Na'Ziyah replies, okay, damn, you don't have to be mean. At 21:55, Jarvis replies, and it shows that he laughed at her comment about you don't have to be mean.
Okay, and were all of those messages deleted?
No.
Okay. Where does it start that it was deleted?
They do not start getting deleted until the messages that Jarvis sends to her, only if you want to. So we fucking then, stop talking about you want to cuddle. Those are the messages that were deleted.
Okay. And now we are moving forward to October 19th.
October 19th, 2023 at 22:23 hours, Jarvis sends Na'Ziyah a text that says, hey. She replies back, are you ignoring me? Jarvis then replies, no. It now jumps to October 21st at 19:05 hours, Na'Ziyah sends, hey babe, I need that plan B today. At 19:07 hours, Jarvis sends her the letter Y. The next message isn't sent until October 22nd at 04:33 hours when Na'Ziyah replies back to him, WIMY, so for meaning what you mean, why.
I know I could Google this, but to my understanding, a plan B, I thought you took it right after intercourse, so you would not get pregnant. I didn't know if you already were pregnant and like your belly's growing, you could take it. Is that a fact?
Deleted.
Yes.
And now jumping to November 27th.
Okay, so now we're getting into the -5 hours for the,
Okay.
November 27th, 2023 at 21:06 hours, Na'Ziyah sends, I just want to talk. I really don't want to lose you. At 21:09, she says, can we talk later, yes or no? At 22:28, she says, I don't what's your problem, but I need you to bring me what I need tonight. It's hard doing all this gym shit with this baby. And if I don't do them, I'm going to get a F. 22:28, she says, if you keep ignoring me, you just gonna get no more pussy. 22:35, she says, answer the phone, you not doing nothing. 22:36, she sends PLSSSS for please.
And were those deleted?
Yes.
And now, I'm going to jump ahead to January 9th of 2024.
January 9th, 2024 at 14:21, Na'Ziyah sent to Jarvis, don't forget, be there before 3. I will let you know when I'm leaving the school. If you're not there, I will wait. Then at 14:22, she sends, send okay if you've seen the message so I can delete your number. Then at 14:23, Jarvis replies, okay, and those messages were deleted.
And there was no further communication between Na'Ziyah's text number and Jarvis's number after January 9th, 2024, 1 year ago today.
Yes.
And there you have it. Now, to my knowledge, that phone, was that the phone that had gotten passed around, that everybody was looking? But even if they did look at it, and they saying that Roxy was the one that has the phone, she didn't see these messages. She didn't see these messages at all. So whatever they seen, I don't know, but it definitely wasn't these messages. Now, on a side note, Shannon, I'm sure by now she has listened to these texts, and I wonder how she feels. If she really did not know all this was going on, I wonder how she feels. It was going on right underneath your nose. Your niece and your man, right underneath your nose. But it's terrible. It's terrible. It's sad. It's, wow. It actually brought my emotions down having to listen to this. It did. But there are the messages right there. And justice for Na'Ziyah Harris.